Welcome back to another episode of the Next Level Minds podcast. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my name is Chris Chapman, and I am your host, and this is a podcast dedicated to those who want to reach a next level in their business, personal, or career life. Every other week, I'm blessed to sit down with a fully qualified guest, entrepreneur, content creator, or mover and shaker in their industry and really walk through their story of how they have gotten from point A to point B and overcame various adversities along the way. Now, before we dive into this week's episode, which is really part of a series I do called Motivation Monday, I want to go ahead and reiterate my main goal, which is to impact over 1 million people by helping them reach a next level. So if you have not done this already, please take the time to subscribe to Next Level Minds on Apple Podcast. And if you're really feeling special, share this episode with a family member, friend, or colleague who you think will get some value out of it. Now on to today's episode, which again is part of a series I do called Motivation Monday, all about talking about various topics to really get everyone excited, pumped up, and just really implement a new drive into your life through these episodes. If you haven't listened yet, we talk about different topics like motivation, work ethic, gratitude, perspective, you name it. Today's episode is all about goal setting. And the reason I wanted to do this episode is I had a significant amount of people recently just ask me, hey, Chris, how do you go about setting goals? What's your steps there? What's your, kind of habits around these? Or how do I even begin setting these goals? So this is going to be a pretty simple episode. So if you already set goals and you've been doing it for a while, to be honest, probably wasting your time here because this is very simple, but it's a very simple process that a lot of people don't know. So if you do know how to set goals, you've been doing it, listen to something else. But if you want to know more about goal setting or you're newer to it, definitely dive in and keep listening. So additionally on that, if you do have questions about setting goals, any ideas, themes, whatever the case is, please reach out to me on Instagram. It's at Chris Chap. Would be more than happy to answer any questions that you have here. Again, this podcast and my platform is out there to impact others. So however I can do that, let me know. So before we dive in about really how to start setting goals, I just want to go over some stats that I recently researched regarding the concept of just setting goals in general. So there's multiple university studies that have been done over the years by some very prestigious universities, and I put together some of these statistics. There are about just 5 of them. There's hundreds to look at, but I just wanted to kind of pick out my favorite 5. So the first one is that people who write down their goals are 20% more successful in accomplishing them than those who did not. So that's a 20% increase right there. The second point and second statistic is that those who set actionable tasks for their goals and initiate weekly progress reporting tend to achieve 40% more than those who did not. So that makes sense because I think it's important to always kind of monitor where you're at and if you're focusing on those needle moving activities. Third statistic here is that goal clarity, so that's clarity on the goals that you want out of life, has a direct influence on overall motivation in the workplace. That's pretty interesting as well because I talk about this a lot. You can fill up your car with gas, but if you don't know where you're going and you're just driving around, you're not going to get anywhere and then you're going to be out of gas. Same with life. If you don't have goals, you're never going to get what you truly want. Fourth statistic is people are 10 times more likely to achieve New Year's resolutions than those who don't make any resolutions at all towards their future. So thought that one's a little dated. Obviously, this is coming out in June, I believe. So this one's a little dated, but thought that was interesting. And then the last one, which I thought was pretty interesting, very simple statistics, says that studies have shown that setting goals keeps you persistent in business and career success. I think that makes so much sense because when you have goals in your life, you're obviously striving towards something. You're not just kind of mundane, going with the norm. You're striving towards kind of a bigger purpose, if you will. So I thought that was interesting. Any questions there, let me know. You can look all those up online. Just 5 stats about goal setting, which I thought could definitely drive home the importance of it. So let's go into the how, though. I mean, that's why you're listening to this. Hey, how do I set goals? Got that question multiple times. So diving in, the first thing I think you really need to do is figure out what you really want in 6 areas. Now, you can figure out your own 6 areas, but this is just personally what I've been recommended by numerous people, and works really well for me. So I think those 6 areas that you really need to figure out what you really want is career/business, financial, personal growth, and that includes physical and mental health. So that could be, lose X amount of pounds, gain X amount of pounds, read 5 books, whatever the case is there. Next one is figure out what you really want out of your relationships, and that's with your family, friends, and significant other. So where do you want to be with them, down the road, right now, etc. Next one is spiritual. If you're into that, where do you want to be in your relationship with the Lord or whatever y'all believe in that are listening? And then the last one, this is if you have one. Don't feel forced to have this if you don't have one, but if you have a side hustle, what are your goals around that? How much money do you want to get from it? Where do you want it to go, etc. So here's just kind of the process behind this is spend a day really without media, without your phone, without LinkedIn, without track, and have a cup of coffee or whatever you drink. Nothing, no distractions, just you, a pen, paper, and your thoughts. And block off an hour, like literally set a timer. If you need to use your phone, throw it in like a drawer or something on loud, and just spend an hour honestly thinking about where you want to be 6 months, 2 years, 10 years down the line in those areas. And that can really start to get the thought process moving forward, because the worst thing you can do is set goals that don't align to what you actually want out of life, because then you are striving towards something that ultimately is not going to give you fulfillment down the road. I've achieved goals that I really just put down that I'm like, this is something I really want, and then achieve that goal, and then now it's kind of like, I actually didn't really want this as much. So make sure that your goals are actually aligned with what you really want. The best way to do that is by thinking about kind of going in reverse. So visualize yourself years from now. Again, your thoughts become your reality. Visualize yourself long term. So where do I want to be from 8 to 10 years from now? For me, I'm 25, so 33, 35 years old, where do I want to be? Then visualize yourself kind of on a midterm level. For me, that's 6 months to 2 years. So kind of thinking, where do I want to be in 6 months? Where do I want to be when I'm 27, 2 years from now? And then short term, where do I want to be? Visualize where I want to be 0 to 6 months down the road. So right now it's May, June. So that's kind of end of 2021, which is crazy. Time's going by so fast. Where do I want to be 0 to 6 months down the road? So it's visualizing long-term, midterm, and short-term. Once you do that, start at the top. So start breaking down the long-terms one first, just because I believe that it's easier to start from 8 to 10 year goals and then kind of break down your midterm goals to make sure they're aligning towards the long-term goals. And then you can break down your short-term goals to make sure that they're aligning to your midterm goals. So breaking them down, the long ones first, way easier because there's a concept called reverse engineering, making sure that even everything you're doing at your 0 to 6 month level is aligning not only with your midterm goals, but also your long-term goals as well. So now that you got that, of course, you have the visualization, where you want to be. Then you start breaking down the long ones first. And then it's a matter of just old school writing them down. What I would suggest for this is don't have a limit, just free flow. Start writing down your long-term goals, start writing down your midterm goals, start writing down your short-term goals. Don't have a cap limit of okay, I'm going to do 5 each, I'm going to do 6 each. Literally just start flowing. And then you can pinpoint after you've had that kind of brain dump of maybe this doesn't make sense for me right now as a 8 to 10 year long-term goal. I'm going to push this off, put it on the back burner. Or you can look at a 0 to 6 month goal maybe that's not attainable. Maybe I should put this off into my midterm goals. but don't allow like a ceiling to it, meaning just let the brain dump and keep writing them out, and then go back and actually pinpoint, okay, this can happen, this can't, I think this is attainable. And again, the theme here is actually really spend time to think about it. So some just feedback here is make sure your midterm and short-term goals all align with your long-term goals. Again, you don't want to be striving the wrong direction for your midterm goals, and then all of a sudden 8 years comes down the line and you're like, dang, I was literally striving the wrong way. So make sure your midterm goals and your short-term goals are aligning. And then the last thing here is after you've written them out and kind of chop them up a little bit, like I said, do the brain dump, write them out, and then actually pinpoint maybe your top goals for long-term, midterm, and short-term. Next thing is print them out or have them on a sheet of paper that you can literally look at all times. For example, I have at my home office, which is not much of a home office, more just like a desk, but I have in front of me my short-term, midterm, long-term goals in front of me at all times. So I'm looking at it every day, morning, afternoon, after dinner, all the time. And then when I'm not working from this little at-home work setup, if you will, I have them on my phone as a picture that I'm constantly looking at. And that's not even a crazy process. You're taking a 5-minute break, look at your goals. You're walking to go get a drink of water, take a second, look at your goals. You're waiting at a traffic stop, pick up your phone and look at your goals. You're putting your goals in your subconscious mind more and more and more and more, because your subconscious mind, your thoughts dictate your reality. Your thoughts also indirectly start affecting your actions. So the goal, that's getting pretty deep in the weeds mindset wise. We'll touch on that at another time. But the more you look at your goals, the more they get put into your subconscious mind. And if you really want to get technical, something that I've lately been doing is kind of picking my favorite goal out of those 6 areas. Again, those 6 areas are career, business, financial, personal growth, family, spiritual, and side hustle. Kind of picking out my like top goal in those 6 areas and writing it down every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Again, just the theme is to get it in your subconscious mind as much as quick as possible. So, quick recap here. Figure out where you want to go and where you want to be, both long-term, midterm, and short-term. Start writing your goals out based on that, and then print them out. The thing here is to really reverse engineer everything. So, a simple example is to use like yearly income, just because it's super easy to break down. You can break down anything goal-wise, but income's just the easiest to do because it's math, simple math here. So for example, like if you have a goal to make $150,000 a year, what is that per month? That's $12,500 per month. Then you say, what is that per week? $3,125 a week. So it's important to monitor that you're on track here. So again, reverse engineering it, whether it's like a financial goal, physical goal, reverse engineering it into smaller chunks. So saying, okay, this year goal that I have, what is that per month? What is that per week? And if you really want to get technical, what is that per day? And then again, monitoring your habits, making sure that your habits, your actions, your behaviors are all aligning to those goals. And we'll touch on that in a bit more detail because that's something I want to end on. But again, reverse engineer everything. I'm telling you, I did not used to do this. I used to just have the goal and kind of look at it. But this past year in 2020, I reverse engineered a lot of financial goals that I had and reached every single one of them because it was a very simple, okay, I want to make X amount this year. I want to save X amount this year. I want to invest X amount this year. How much is that per month? Okay, I'm a little short. What can I do to get it up to this level per month? What is that per week? And then I'd constantly kind of look back at my behaviors, savings, investing, and make sure I was on track every single week and month. So could talk about that forever, the importance of reverse engineering. Last one here, actually second to last one, sorry, is tell your close friends, people that you trust, that you have goals, number one, and then tell them what those goals are. Because it's one thing to let yourself down, because I think you need to take extreme ownership in everything you're doing. But it's even worse when you let not only yourself down, but others around you, especially those people that are close to you, when you let them down as well. It's kind of like a double blow of like, hey, myself, I said I was going to do this. Also, my 5 close friends and family. So I thought that was extremely interesting, that not only is it important not to let yourself down, but additionally, it's also extremely important not to let others around you down, especially when they're close friends and family. So really wanted to harp on that point there. And really the last step here with goal setting is you really need to constantly monitor your habits, behaviors, and attitudes to make sure that they all align with your goals that you have. So I've had the chance to talk with a few people through social media, LinkedIn, stuff that I do with the podcast, that have really asked me, hey, I'm here with my goals, but I haven't really reached where I want to be yet. And kind of the first question I return back to them is, hey, well, what are your habits, behaviors, attitudes like? Are they matching up to your goals? And a lot of times the answer is no. So I think the first thing to do is constantly monitor those habits, behaviors, and attitudes, again, to make sure that they all align with the goals that you've set for yourself. So for example, if your goal is to be even more fit, a good question to ask yourself is, hey, am I working out every day? Am I eating healthy? Am I getting the proper amount of sleep? And am I doing whatever it takes no matter what? So again, if your goal is to be more fit, ask yourself, are you doing the proper behavior to stay fit, if that's your goal? If your goal is to make more money, are you doing the things to make more money? Learning new skill sets, looking into new ways to generate income as a side hustle, looking for opportunities where you can start to have your money really work for you. Like, are you doing these things that are going to bring you closer to your goal? And I think the best ways that you can do this is by having a weekly checklist where you kind of check off, okay, where am I at right now? Where do I want to go? Is what I did this past week aligning with the goals that I have in place? And then you can take that a step further. And if you've done it every week of the month, you can actually do a monthly checklist, and you can kind of look at all of your weeks and say, okay, week 2, I did great. Week 3, I slacked off a little bit. First week of the month was amazing. And that's a great way to also kind of monitor your progress that you've made as well. So again, those checklists are super important. And what's even more important is those habits, behaviors, and attitudes, making sure that they align to your goals. Definitely a quote I wanted to share here that I've heard on numerous different podcasts is just, the bigger the ambition, the bigger the action. So I think that's something extremely important to recognize as well. If you have these big ambitions out here, then you're going to have an even bigger action that you have to take as well to actually match those ambitions that you have. So the last thing I want to leave y'all with is look, achieving goals is a lot of work. No one has really achieved great things without a lot of hard work, dedication, and commitment. So this is from a previous episode of Next Level Minds, but this question is extremely important to ask yourself. Are you truly committed, or are you just coasting, hoping something will happen?